Yo, what's up, everyone? I haven't done one of these live streams outside of the car in a while, so it's nice to get back into it. So, making this video for anyone else who's struggling with a crap ton of debt. So, in this video, I'll share a little bit more about how I even got into this situation, um, and just share some of my takeaways and some of my struggles with financial debt. So, just to be transparent with you guys, what happened was I ended up like spending a lot of money. I don't know if it was necessarily one thing that caused this snowball effect of just having like a shit ton of debt, but essentially I maxed out my credit cards and I kept borrowing money from like my wife, my mom, um, business partners, and a lot of these entrepreneurial efforts. And then I proceeded to spend like a lot of money on um, like everything, hiring employees, having a virtual assistant, like basically just spending money out the wazoo, spending money on drinks and going out and joining organizations and clubs and all this stuff. So it's been a rocky or it's been a rocky ride, but I'm making this video because I want other people to realize that you're not alone in a lot of this debt stuff. So let's use ChatGPT. I'm sure the cool thing about ChatGPT is it gives you a lot of baselines, so it helps you come up with like a framework to talk about. So let me try it and then see how this would work. Window, let's see, Chrome tab. Here you go, ChatGPT. Okay, cool. I'm doing a YouTube live to talk more openly about my struggles with debt, how I got into it, and my game plan moving forward to tackle it. Can you give me a guideline or framework to use so that so to organize my thoughts a little a little bit more? Some of the themes are around people pleasing, not being able to set boundaries, and lack of impulse control that may or may not be associated with my ADHD slash ENFP personality that tends to go with the flow and is acting based on feelings and sometimes is lacking the long-term thinking strategy that would be helpful in tackling an enormous amount of debt. All right, so this is helpful because gives you a bit of so I have an hour and 20 minutes, but hopefully I can be concise with this and it won't take a full hour. But I'm writing a bunch of newsletter articles about this topic. So, all right, so cool. So this gives me a bit of framework. I'll stop sharing, but it gives you, at least you guys know what I'm going to be talking about. Okay, so it looks like the welcome and context. What's my game plan? This is a sensitive topic, so I appreciate your support and be gentle, be kind with me because we all make mistakes, but I'm also open to accountability as well, right? That's one of the reasons why YouTube is so great because it gives you a ton of accountability. Oh yeah, I also want to talk a little bit about struggling with some gaining weight and confidence in general as well. And I didn't eat lunch yet, so I might be snacking on a couple things. So don't mind me. But yeah, feel free to post any comments. Any of my friends who's watching would love you to have your support. And thank you for thank you for liking, subscribing, and for being supportive of this channel. It really does mean a lot as I'm a couple days from being monetized. So I'm super excited about that. So I'll do a completely new video on that as well because that's been like a 6-year journey. It's taken me this long. So, all right, let's get right into it. So, I think one of the reasons why I struggled with money is Honestly, my parents were not really great with money, like, growing up, so I didn't really have the best behaviors modeled. Like, every time my dad would make money, he would take us to a buffet, or my mom would spend it on purses, and, as a family, we never owned a home before, so in general, I would say a lot of our family is pretty ADHD. Mm. For people who don't know what ADHD is, like, it stands for attention deficit hyperactive disorder, which now looking back at it, I would say a lot of, my family has it. Here, let me just look it up. What are some symptoms of ADHD? Because I do think okay, so ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder that can manifest in different people. The two main categories is inattention and hyper. So careless mistakes, disorganization, avoidance of tasks that requires mental effort, losing things. I mean, just the other day, I lost my wedding ring. So my wife is obviously like pretty upset about that. But we get easily distracted, we're forgetful, and then that's the attention part. The hyper part is like fidgeting, being able to like be all over the place, and time management issues, emotional dysregulation, so having mood strings, just stuff like that, right? So, all right, so let's go back to this is why having this framework is helpful because then I can just stay on task. So, basically, the reason why I think people pleasing has contributed to my lack of smart financial decisions. I'll just say that to be a little bit more direct. Um, and then yeah, I'm trying to make sure I have the chat section ready as well. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to post below. Um, okay, so the challenges. I mean, obviously, having a lot of debt is extremely paralyzing. Like not being able to sleep well at night, to just having like a lot of stress, right? Like waking up in the middle of the night, having a lot of shame and guilt associated with that as well is a big factor. I would say the root cause is like I would say like self-esteem issues is a big part of it. Like not being able to like feel like, oh, I need to like buy this nice clothes in order to be accepted by society, or oh, I need to dress a certain way. I need to own a Tesla because all of my neighbors have a brand new Tesla. So some of it is, I'm not gonna lie, is just like trying to fit in with the Joneses and buying a house. It's like, oh, I need to get a really nice house because that shows that I've made it according to Asian culture. So, but I'll be honest and say some of it is also like coping mechanisms, like being able to just spend money on food, like going out to drinks, getting drinks with friends and stuff like that. The good news is I'm going to be starting in exactly a week at a company where you can make a pretty decent amount of money, and my coach slash the boss that I'll be working for is really good at making money. So I'm very blessed that I do have the opportunity to make pretty life changing money, right? So that's gonna be awesome. All right, I'm gonna hide my face because I keep getting distracted by looking at myself. So I don't know if you guys, any content creator, if you guys also struggle with like hearing your own voice and all that stuff as well. But um, I think in the beginning, everyone who has a lot of debt goes from like avoidance to denial to eventually like accepting it and then eventually proceeding to take responsibility, right? I think once I owned and stopped hiding from a lot of these issues, I was able to finally like do something and have a game plan in regards to it. So I'm able to talk to my wife about, being on the same page, like being able to have better boundaries. Like, why am I paying for people all the time if I barely have enough to, be able to pay for rent and stuff like that? And, I made excuses like, oh, like working class people, waiters, like I always tip really well. But it's like at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself first. So if you're making excuses on why you're spending the money on other people, just notice where that's coming from. Um, I've also struggled with tracking my expenses. Like I don't even have a budget, to be honest. And then there's two types of strategies that people have tried to help me, but it's interesting because everyone has different behavioral like triggers. So just because it's some person's like really cheap and some person is very thrifty versus someone who's like an impulsive spender, like it's sometimes it's just hard to really understand at the root like where a lot of this is coming from. Going to therapy has been actually very helpful. So shout out to my therapist, Cliff, and everyone else that has helped me along the way as well. Having a long-term thinking versus being impulsive is important. Um, Things that have been helpful is like meditation, being able to like talk about it in these settings, like even just having this conversation is super helpful. Um, so moral of the story is just dig deeper into the root cause of your debt. Like for me, it was being able to spend money on things that are a wants versus needs. Like I definitely spend 90% of my money on wants, right? Like traveling to Fiji, going to all the, going to London, doing all these things that quite honestly probably don't make sense. But I just did it because I'm like, my justification was like, well, I don't want to die with any regrets, but it still has an impact at the end of the day. So just being conscious of that is important. Being able to take responsibility is a huge, huge part of it. Like instead of blaming, like, oh, well, I spent all this money on you, babe. Like I need to buy you bags and all this stuff. It's like, dude, like I'm the one that's being irresponsible. Like, why am I blaming other people for it? Right. So just taking responsibility is the first step in actually like causing behavioral change. But it's a lot harder than it looks, right? I can say this now, but I really have struggled with it. Yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions. This is part one of many, many conversations as I update you with my financial struggles journey. Well, thank you so much. If this has been helpful, definitely like and subscribe, and I'll continue to share a little bit more as I make updates and tackling this debt. So, thanks everyone for being supportive. Last thing I'll say is, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, just talking about it is the first step. So, if anyone else is struggling with being in debt, feel free to reach out to me. We'd love to chat with you about it, as well as trying to be more vulnerable and authentic with regards to a lot of these topics. Cheers, everyone. Bye.